Namaskar and welcome. I'm Mark Lin and you're watching Connecting the Dots. Russian President Vladimir Putin's recent visits to North Korea and Vietnam and the signing of a mutual defense agreement with North Korea raise some key questions. What is the main purpose of this agreement? How does it help both Russia and North Korea? And how does it change the geopolitical landscape and alignments in East Asia and the world? Let's put these questions into context. Russian President Vladimir Putin and the North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, they signaled a closer relationship in mid-June 2024 that has the world watching and wondering about its implications. While these two countries are coming closer, their ties clearly have security implications far beyond their two countries. It was seen as a rare visit to North Korea by Russian President Putin. The two leaders signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement that included a pledge to provide mutual assistance in case of aggression. Putin has been looking for greater assistance from North Korea in his military operation in Ukraine. And this assistance has the potential to change the balance of power in East Asia. On the one hand, it will, and already has, begun reinforcing growing security ties between the United States, South Korea, and Japan. And on the other hand, is placing China in an awkward spot regarding its ties with Russia and North Korea. This agreement also gives tacit Russian support to North Korea's nuclear program. The isolated country has ballistic missiles capable of reaching the North American continent. Also, in light of the Russian military operation in Ukraine that has dragged on now for 28 months and counting, this agreement also provides for both Russia and North Korea to provide immediate military assistance if the other country is the subject of armed aggression. However, analysts say this is not new. They did have a mutual defense agreement back in 1961. This puts the spotlight on China's long-standing relationship with North Korea. China is North Korea's most important aid and trade partner. They share a mutual defense treaty, which was renewed in 2021. China is looking to maintain stability on the Korean peninsula, so it says, because it's a large neighbor. And they also provide aid to North Korea and aspire to normalize state-to-state relations. The Chinese support UN sanctions against North Korea, but they don't enforce them. The Chinese abstain whenever it comes to UN voting on North Korea. So Russia seems keen to revive the Soviet role in North Korea. The Soviet Union was the first bloc to recognize North Korea way back in 1948. During the Cold War, the USSR also provided significant military and political support to North Korea. But let's cut to the present. In 2022, North Korea recognized the independence of breakaway states in eastern Ukraine, following Russia's lead. Now, Russia is alleged to have bought weapons from North Korea during the Ukraine conflict. The term New Cold War has been used to describe heightened geopolitical tensions in the 21st century. It typically refers to tense relations between the United States and either China or Russia. But these tensions echo the original Cold War. But experts argue that the comparison isn't entirely accurate. There are certainly significant global struggles and rivalries reminiscent of that era, but clearly the world is multipolar today. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine has created groupings that some liken to a Cold War, but the world isn't falling into that trap. Russia is clearly trying to increase its military support on the battlefield. Since February 2022, the ongoing war in Ukraine has deepened ties between Russia and Iran. They've increased their defense as well as economic cooperation, exploring options for a broader strategic partnership. Russia and Iran share a multifaceted relationship, combining historical complexities with contemporary strategic interests. The United States is closely monitoring China and Russia's involvement with North Korea, recognizing their significant roles in the region. The way the US sees this is that China has been North Korea's main ally for decades. Their shared border and historical connections shape China's approach. Russia's mutual defense agreement with North Korea, signed in 2024, has raised concerns. It could create friction with China, which has long supported North Korea. The pact may undercut Beijing's leverage over its neighbors, affecting China's global economic and strategic ambitions. The US acknowledges concern about the deal, but it notes its apparent limitations. North Korea seeks advanced technologies from Russia, including fighter aircraft and missile equipment. Technology plays a pivotal role in shaping the contemporary geopolitical landscape. Nations engage in cyber warfare, hacking, and espionage to gain an edge. Attacks on critical infrastructure, data breaches, and disinformation campaigns are common. Technology drives economic growth. Countries with strong tech sectors, they are the ones that wield influence. This seems to be what allies in these relationships are demanding. And clearly, this is one area where the West is concerned about closer ties between Russia, China, and North Korea. Social media and digital platforms are used by governments as channels of propaganda, influencing public opinion worldwide. Technology enhances military capabilities. Drones, AI, and precision-guided weapons redefine warfare. The race for supremacy is emerging in areas like quantum computing, and that's intense. Also, the dependence on technology for global supply chains is a vulnerability that can be exploited. Take, for instance, the shortage of semiconductors and its potential impact on geoeconomics and geopolitics. There is another area of strategic importance, and that is space. Satellite networks, lunar exploration, and space militarization. Technology amplifies existing power dynamics. Its impact on geopolitics will continue to evolve. With all this in the background, the Russian President Vladimir Putin sent out feelers to the US on June 21 that he is open to engaging in security discussions with the United States. But he wants to address comprehensive issues, including the conflict in Ukraine. However, another senior Russian official and close aide to Putin, Dmitry Medvedev, who served as the Russian president between 2008 and 2012, stated that conversations about a new treaty on limiting nuclear firepower with the US are only possible once Washington stops supplying weapons to Ukraine and blocks its admission into NATO. It seems Putin is testing the waters for potential talks to end Russia's war in Ukraine. Or is he just repositioning Russia as a key player amid new geopolitical arithmetic that he hopes can create a new algorithm for geopolitical realities? Time will tell. When you think of the word education today, what comes to your mind? Students discussing complexities such as calculus in hallways, wide classrooms, inspiring teachers, cutting-edge technology and innovations, right? But what about 1,000 years ago? Let's dial back our clocks to around the 5th century AD, when a major global education hub of the ancient world was born in India, Nalanda. Built by Emperor Kumaragupta, the Nalanda University in India's Bihar is a testament of the inclusivity and fusion of multiple cultures and disciplines at one place. But what made Nalanda University so special and different? Well, to begin with, Nalanda University was the first residential university in the world. This meant that scholars from all around the world could travel to Nalanda and stay for the entire course of their studies. The university had over 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers during its prime. Nalanda University predated Oxford University and Europe's Bologna by almost 500 years. In its 700-year-old legacy, there was no such systematic education institution around. Its range of education was wide, spreading from Indian ancient texts to Buddhist scriptures, and from traditional medicine like Ayurveda to modern astronomy. The teaching faculty included distinguished Indian mathematician Aryabhatta, who discovered zero. Other important names are philosophers Nagarjuna and Dharmakirti. But what made Nalanda University so globally acclaimed was its status as the richest repository of Buddhist knowledge in the world. Nalanda's library sheltered a staggering 9 million handwritten palm leaf manuscripts. The varsity attracted scholars from places as distant as China, Korea, Japan, Tibet, Mongolia, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia. One important scholar and traveler was Hayun Sang, who visited the university around 600 AD. His works contributed a lot to paint the picture of the socio-economic and political situations of India besides Nalanda, and also led to the discovery of Nalanda ruins later on. All in all, Nalanda University was a beacon of knowledge and education for the entire world. It contributed in multiple fields such as philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, until it was pillaged by the Turco-Afghan invader Bakhtiyar Khilji during his conquest of northern and eastern India around 1200 AD. He is said to have set fire to the great library of Nalanda, burning millions of books and manuscripts containing ancient knowledge. Surviving documents and accounts of foreign students, however, testify till date the fact that Nalanda stood at the peak of human wisdom and teaching. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi aspires for India to obtain that status once again.
मेरा मिशन है कि भारत दुनिया के लिए शिक्षा और ज्ञान का केंद्र बने। मेरा मिशन है भारत की पहचान फिर से दुनिया के सबसे प्रोमिनेंट नॉलेज सेंटर के रूप में उभरे।
The grand inauguration of the all-new campus of the Nalanda University on the 19th of June 2024 is an excellent move to follow up on that goal. The newly constructed institute spans over 450 acres with 2 academic blocks containing 40 classrooms where around 1,900 students can study. The novel Nalanda project has the joint participation of 17 different countries, and it sports a net zero green campus with consideration for environmental conservation. The new campus joins the ancient Indian architectural science of Vastu with modern infrastructures of auditoriums, convention centers, and amphitheaters. With the first step of reviving the glory of Nalanda complete, now the baton of flying its flag high, it falls on the faculty and students. Will Nalanda emerge as the global center of education once again in India's era as the Vishwaguru? Only time will tell. You must have seen this multicolored puzzle in almost every household. Sometimes it's in the hands of children, enthusiastic to crack the challenge it poses, while other times it is resting on an adult's work table, completely solved, and a telltale of mental agility. Whatever the case, one thing is common here. From budding children to accomplished adults, this puzzle has charmed all. But have you ever wondered when and how this cube was invented? Yes, today we're going to talk about the immensely popular Rubiks Cube. Do you know that 2024 marks the 50th anniversary of the creation of the Rubiks Cube, with announcements of limited edition cubes for this occasion? The cube is named after the Hungarian inventor Ernő Rubik, who crafted it in 1974 when Rubik was teaching at the Hungarian Academy of Applied Arts. He wanted to explain the concept of spatial relationships with a three-dimensional object, and voila! The end product was the classic Rubiks Cube as we know it today, but only after many retakes. So after the cube fever took the world by storm, and by 1987 when it made its international debut, it had sold more than 14 million units worldwide. The cube has found many variations over time, but Ernő's prototype was the classic 3x3 cube. It consists of 6 differently colored faces divided into 9 smaller squares. The aim of every cube solver is to bring the jumbled cube to its initial order of 6 differently colored faces with no single square on the wrong side of the cube. While there has been much noise about different ways to solve the cube by different people, what is irrefutable is that it is quite the mental game. Nowadays, many variants of the cube are present in the market, providing new arenas of challenge to seasoned cube solvers. Some are simply the increase of squares on each face from the classic 3x3 such as the 5x5 as well as the 11x11 models. Other complex cubes include the Pyraminx, which are pyramid-shaped Rubik's puzzles that have triangles for faces instead of classic squares, and the dodecahedron-shaped Megaminx with 12 faces. Moving on from just a fun pastime, cube solving became a competitive sport with the first ever Rubik's Cube World Championship held in Budapest in 1982. The sport gained a renewed momentum in 2004 when fellow speed cubers Ron van Bruchem and Tyson Mao founded the World Cube Association, a body to regulate future cube championships. Since then, speed cubing has only advanced as a sport, with winners breaking the record times on every new championship. The current record holder for solving the 3x3 cube is Max Park, with a record time of 3.13 seconds. According to the World Cube Association, the current national record holder of a 3x3 cube is held by Aryan Chabra, with a time of 4.81 seconds.
Solving a Rubik's Cube is an excellent mental exercise. It helps in developing a problem-solving attitude as well as building patience and persistence. It also helps in enhancing eye-to-hand coordination and pattern recognition. Whether you are a professional speed cuber or just a fellow cuber who enjoys solving Rubik's Cubes, keep twisting, turning and challenging yourselves with this puzzle. Solving a Rubik's Cube is just not about completing the puzzle. It is a journey that tests your patience, perseverance, skill and overall problem-solving attitude. Keep at it.
Sports and records are good for self-esteem. But did you know that solving the Rubik's Cube has a positive effect on our minds as well? The cube can help people with hand-eye coordination and to improve focus. The elaborate stepwise plans that entail solving the cube also help boost mental flexibility. The fad of the Rubik's Cube doesn't seem to fade away even after 50 years of its creation, with new generations picking up this puzzle with much enthusiasm. And why not? The cube is a healthy exercise for the brain and a source of great exhilaration when overcome. So, next time you come across a Rubik's Cube, do give it a few tries. Who knows, you may even solve it. Well, that's all we have in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. This is Mark Lynn signing off. Goodbye for now from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. Take care, stay safe, namaskar.